Okay, now that we're all here, or at least I'm here, whatever, we can go into this type of rant that we're going to be dealing with. And we're probably going to put some stuff up here for our little places so people can interact. So let's get on. Anyway, what has happened this week? Oh crap, lights up here. Guys, deal with it. It's the sun. We'll get to a rant about that later. Alright, so, ranting about life in general. Mike's apparently blasting out like crazy, so we gotta adjust that a little bit. Yes, I know. First world, first time problems. Anywho, things that are going crazy right now. Well, question is, which place do you want me to start? We have the wonderful American Supreme Court. We have the ever popular BS that's happening with everybody else. I mean, holy crap. But yes, as always, give suggestions if you want it to be something that I'm going to talk about. But yes. Anyway, yeah, for about a minute. So, let's see. We have the wonderful, joyous thing of everybody's student loans not being forgiven. So there is that. Because for some reason they decided that no, $20,000 is too much to take away from people's student loans. $20,000 freaking dollars, you guys. Is it really that big of a freaking deal? And yes, I'm keeping the swearing down a little bit, even though I don't want to, because demonetization, stopping, boo, rules. But yeah, $20,000 is apparently so horrible that we can't have the children lose $20,000 that they could go to spending on something. You do realize $20,000 can't even buy a car right now. Can't even buy a car. So, don't want us to be able to buy more things and have everything go up. Apparently that's a thing. But yeah. So always that good of a time. Give me 1 second, you guys. I'm going to make sure that I get this stuff done so people can see. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just double checking on things. I know it's a problem. And I know I'm having to compete with a myriad of other people. Because, oh dear God. And I know I'm having to compete with a myriad of other people. But yeah, so. What are we going to do about it? Well, the answer, sadly, right now is not much we can do. Oh yeah, vote. Tell your congressman how to vote. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, that does nothing. But yeah, so again, $20,000. It's not much. But apparently, some people seem to think that if people are making enough money, they can get themselves out of debt with minimal pay. I mean, once you get out of college, as many of you can admit, you're not going to have anything but you have to spend on bills, rent, maybe if you're living with your parents, you don't have to, food. And nobody's willing to pay you a lot because you're just kind of starting out. But hey. Again, these people don't care. It's not like CEOs in all the wonderful places of America make 322% more than anybody else. Like, your standard worker isn't going to make crap. When you have to have 2, 3, 4 jobs just to sit there and be, ooh, you may be able to make rent. Maybe not from word, you guys. You know, if we talk about COVID, you can even make rent then. And some people are still paying that off. But why don't we solve it? It's people think that, well, somebody figured out how much it's going to cost, but heck, it's not like we're actually going to spend it on a sub that's going to implode while searching for the Titanic. Sorry, too soon? I don't care. They died because they were stupid. The CEO was stupid. He completely decided that, oh, we're going to use old parts. Just like we're using an old system to try and take care of everything when everybody just wants to go into debt. Yes, I said everybody wants to go into debt because nobody has come up with a way to fix it because, oh, I can't vote. My vote doesn't count. Yeah, your vote kind of does. Your vote really does actually count. But no, none of us want to see or care because we don't think that our vote matters. Which, in some scheme of things, no, it really doesn't, because there's always going to be some jerk, whether it be Manchin, Grassley, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Bobbert, who's going to sit there and go, meh, I must impeach Joe Biden instead of focusing on students and their money. I mean, seriously. Why you would do that is completely foreign to me. You're just sitting there and caring more about what points you may score with Kevin McCarthy. And I'm allowed to make fun of him because I'm from California. So, just throwing that out there right now. But it makes absolutely no sense for any of this. I mean, if you want to sit there and get some level of economics done, there's much better things that you could be dealing with. But, hey, people are going to do what people are going to do. I mean, it's just the way it is. And nobody's really going to understand the type of things that every person has to go through unless you come together and get it to where you're like, yes, I want to do these things to get the problem solved. I have a group of people together. Like, again, touching on other things. Black Lives Matter protests. You guys did good at the very beginning. And again, white man saying that, so take it with what you will. You guys started out well. You guys started out really well. You made a big impact. You freaked people out. That's why we had all those lockdowns. But the sad part is, you guys didn't go the distance as a large group. Those of you who are still doing it, great. That's great. But the overall group of you have gone back to it because it was unsustainable. Yes, I know you're being oppressed. Yes, I know that you've got the affirmative action. Yes, I know you want to have some level of equality to stop being kept down, which is great, which is good. But we white people are so easily distracted by the dumbest stuff. Oh, the Kardashians! Oh, Lauren Bobbert and Marjorie Taylor Greene are throwing a fit with each other about who can impeach Biden and calling each other something on the House floor. Seriously, go check it on C-SPAN. That we don't care about the amount of times, in general, that you guys are having to go through because we're all too distracted. We want to say we care. We try hard to care. But when it comes down to it, we're as easily distracted as a squirrel. And that's white people in general. That yes, there's some bits and pieces that do actually care. But there's a lot of us that just don't. And I also bring that up because, again, other communities, whether it's the feminist community, whether it's the trans community, all of you don't come together and stand for it on a consistent basis. And sadly, the best comparison I have for a group that stands together, and I can't believe I'm using them as an example, except for the fact that they work, is the NRA. Yes, the National Rifle Association comes together on the fact to vote what they believe should not exist. And that is, we don't believe that there should be restricted rights for guns. I'll get into that rant in a second. But They come together on a consistent basis and do things. Whether it's Democrats, whether it's the African American community, Black Lives Matter, whether it's the trans community, LGBTQ, feminist community, you guys don't come together on a regular basis and do things. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I am more than willing to say I am wrong and address it in a future episode. Because being wrong means that I'm going to learn. So, and please cite your sources. I am not going to have this devolve into a thing of vaccine type stuff. But again, once you come together and once you sit there and go, okay, you need to take us seriously. We are something to be feared. Because we can change things by either votes or by marching or by inconveniencing. Now, when I say inconvenience, I do not mean get a line together and stand in front of vehicles. That is inconveniencing the regular mom and pop who will just run you over because they're impatient and do not care. No. Inconvenience the people who seem to think they matter. That is what many of your protests have done. And, in essence, make the cops who you hate so much look like the bad guys. Nonviolent protests. I know that it's going to suck. I know that people are going to get hurt. I know that some people are going to get killed. And again, this is a guy who you may think, oh, he's never stood there and protested. I've done it a couple of times, but I have not done it enough because I haven't found a good cause worth protesting with that is not going to sit there and fizzle out after a little while. I mean, would I like to sit there and go, yes, I will run for a candidacy or for a position to where I can make a difference? Yeah, I'd love to be able to say that, but to be honest, so far, America has not really given me a reason to do that because if I get ones or twos or any of that, then it's like, okay, great. I get to feel all warm and fuzzy about stuff. Okay, that's great. I get to feel warm and fuzzy for a little while and then have to go back to my job and say, yes, I am in this just to do things like make sure that I make money. Yeah, because we all have to live. Again, bouncing from topic to topic, it is the way it is. It's the way my brain works. But if you cannot get in to a singular group together to force people to listen to you, to force people to say, hey, we should take this person seriously, or this group seriously, because they have come together and stood as one through the level of ridiculousness. And yes, again, LGBTQ groups, trans groups specifically, feminist groups, Black Lives Matter, or any of the other ones, yes, I know you have stood against what could seem like monumental oppression, because it is. Everybody thinks that you're weak because you do not consistently be there every single weekend as a group. You have, every so on people go on and do talk shows. But, again, you haven't inconvenienced or taken over an airway to where somebody will sit, or people will sit there as a group and take you seriously because they don't hear you all the time. The reason why everybody sits there and knows Fox News, CNN, NBC, or those other crud networks that I'm not even going to give the time of day to, it's because they consistently hit them over and over and over again. And that's what matters. The other thing that you need to all use, I know it's a fading thing in this country, but that is logic. How are you going to solve a problem? Being angry about something is great. Yes, it gets the word out. It gets people passionate. But unless you have a full-on plan of how to fix the problem, and you cover every single level of how to fix it, from the economic reasons about why it is fixed and should be fixed, the parts of how you're going to move things from one way to another. Like if you have to redistrict things, or you want to move a group of people from one section to another, how will you do it? How will you pay for it? That's definitely one of the biggest things, because if you don't have that, then there's absolutely nothing that you can do. Because we'll all admit, it's wonderful to have a dream, but if you can't actually execute it, therein lies the problem. Because without the execution, you just have an idea. An idea is a wonderful thing. It's a magical thing. But not being able to do it means that, congratulations, you sit there and you think of something. Some of the worst and best people had these great ideas, but until they put it down, it meant absolute jack. Again, I said it was going to be a rant, but this is other stuff. So, when we're having to deal with all that, the question is, why care? Why not be just apathetic? Everybody else will solve it. Because it affects you. Going back to the student loan thing. When it comes to every single student who's graduated, who was supposed to get that $20,000, that the Supreme Court declared unconstitutional. All right. It's declared unconstitutional. Why? Because the president decided it should be done? All right. That's super. That's great. Why ever so it doesn't? Why ever so it's declared unconstitutional is one of those things that's a little bit beyond me, and that I don't understand really, because I see the Constitution as an absolute malleable thing. But hey, that again is up to people's opinions, most of which I will be honest, I consider them stupid. Because, hey, I consider a lot of what people do to be self-centered or idiotic because of the simple fact doing things without putting some forethought in them. Yes, it's great and spontaneous, but why? Why do something that's spontaneous when it's going to affect a sheer amount of people's lives? I get that you have to make everybody or most of them happy. I get that. Probably better than almost anybody. I mean, to give you some background about myself, I survived almost dying. So I've kind of had to plan things in some level after that. I mean, does it kind of suck that I have to plan things and can't be fully spontaneous? Yeah. But it is the way it is. Let's see. Rambling. Let's see. Netflix is charging more. There is that. But they've been doing that pretty much for a while. Why they need to make more money? When they honestly should make better choices. They could always make sure that their CEO isn't paid umpteen million amounts of money. But you've also got the Writers Guild strike, which again, writers do writing things. They deserve to be paid for their time and their expertise, you know, like everybody else. And they need to make sure that they have enough money to live on, because, then they can go out and buy stuff. Buying stuff is good. It puts money back into the economy. It means the Fed doesn't have to raise the interest rates. Smart things. But hey, people higher than me have decided this. Heck, let's also go into stuff that we waste money on. Shall we talk about the defense budget that is higher than everybody else's? Why not? Yeah, great. We have the most technologically advanced military. We basically spend most of our time selling all of it to other countries. And yet we still can't solve most of the problems. We'd rather have a better defense than poverty. Solving poverty. Why would we do that? Maybe because one of the things that helps with having less poverty is crime goes down. That wonderfully amazing thing that causes people to get money stolen from each other, and violence happens, and the prison system that doesn't work. Yes, you heard me. Prison system we have in this country does not work. But why doesn't it work? Why would you think it doesn't? Well, for starters, having seen it, having been related to somebody who was supposed to rehabilitate people, it doesn't work. I've known career criminals, I've known people who made mistakes, and punishment doesn't solve the problem. It's like that one thing that many people are jailed for. Oh, they took advantage of a woman, and now they're going to jail. All right. Number one, they do the same thing in jail or prison to each other that they did to that woman. It doesn't solve the problem. It just has them go in to do it more. If you really wanted to help them with that, to, not do it anymore, you could, number one, believe the woman in general. Make sure the camera's down far enough. Okay, number one. In general, when the woman talks about being, taken advantage of, 90% of the time she's right. It is very rare that she would want to lie about something like that. Why would she? Say, no, it didn't happen because she's trying to, save her reputation, save herself, because everybody has ostracized. You let yourself be taken advantage of, so you must be that type of person. No. A woman does not dress like that because she wants to be taken advantage of. Consent is a thing. Gentlemen, especially gentlemen, seriously. Consent is a thing. If she says no, it means it's time to stop. Step away. Just sit down and talk. No roofies. Seriously. Do not roofie her. Do not take advantage of her. Do not beat her. I cannot stress this enough. I know that some of these are trigger points for people, but seriously, do not. And I say this because men, the female community, already in general hates our guts. We don't need to exacerbate the problem by continuing not to learn. We're already slow enough as it is. Seriously. We have what could basically be considered schlong measuring contests for everything we do. You want to ask questions for me to provide data? Sure, I'll provide data when you ask. Believe me, I have people. Anyway, so, and that pushes us into the whole thing of why prisons don't work, why the cops are useless in many factors, why you should pay your taxes, and why money is so important. See, all of it comes back to actually college funding. It really, really does. Because if people had more money, that means they would be able to pay for more goods and services. That means they would be able to do better with what they tried to do on a regular basis to make their lives better. You want to get rid of Section 8? You make sure people are paid more. Seriously. It may take some time, but you will actually not have to deal with SNAP benefits at all. And I say that SNAP benefits, temporary assistance for needy families, whatever you want to call it. Making sure that people are paid more on a consistent basis will stop that possibility from happening. The amount we have is pretty infinite if you actually look at it, and if you actually get it to be measured on a certain level. Many will say that's socialism, many will say that's communism. Okay, it's not. Here's why. You can still have your CEOs and managers and everybody else be making more money, but they don't have to make the exorbitant amount of money that they say, oh, well, I earned it. I did all this stuff to do it. Yes, but you're basically going into a multi-marketing scheme by the company. Don't believe me? Here, I'll break it down for you. Managers. Let's start with this. You have the worker at the bottom who makes the least amount of money. The supervisor above them makes more money because it's based on the money that is made from the lower person. The manager, who is above the supervisor and the worker, is making more because they're managing the supervisor and the worker, and they're making money based upon how much they make. That's how you get bonuses. When everybody does well below you, you get a bonus. What does a multi-marketing scheme do? The same thing. Anyway. So because of all that, you're sitting there and you're having the CEO up at the very, or as Trump calls it, the very tippy top, and go, all right, why? Why do they need to make 322%? You've got so much better things you can put the money into. You can pay your workers more. You can make sure that they're working in a good environment. You can make sure that your stuff is reliable. PG&E, I'm looking at you, seriously. MediaCom, I'm looking at you. Cable companies in general. I'm also looking at you. Electric companies in general. Every single company that provides utilities, put more into your infrastructure. Companies that build apartments, put more money into your infrastructure and build quality. It should last. Seriously. If it lasts, you can get paid more money because people have more money to afford it. You cannot have luxury apartments if they're empty. How is that a hard concept? If it's empty, there. You are getting paid $0 for it. You heard me. $0. You can't get any money from people not living in an apartment. If stuff doesn't work, you're not getting paid. I'm just amazed how this is so hard of a concept. But we want short-term gains. No, you do not. You do not want short-term gains. You want long-term gains. You want loyal customers. You want loyal workers. That is how you stay in business. I'm going to use a company that has been in business for a while, that has had its pitfalls, but is done well. Okay. There's a company around here called Sherwin-Williams. You've heard about it. It is huge. It has been in existence for a long time. They have had pitfalls. But how have they survived for 188 years? Because they have used the fact that people need paint and have gotten to go, paint, things need. We should pay people to do this. We should do this. But again, as with everything, make sure you're paying people enough to keep them on so they don't run and scurry away to somewhere else. And sadly, that's the biggest company that I could think of that's been in existence longest. Whatever. When it comes to the American government, and we ask ourselves, well, why are people in government jobs not paid enough? Well, there's a good reason for that. It's because, for one thing, the government in general, especially, and we're speaking of the American government, because they feel that the defense budget is more important than everything else. Yes, Americans, your country cares more about killing people than it does about making sure you have a good paycheck. And this has been consistent across the board, no matter which president has been in charge, no matter which Congress has been in charge, all out of a couple things. Number one, we're incredibly fearful of everything that can hurt us. Whether it's some level of crime, whether it's drugs, whether it's, oh my God, the terrorists. Woo! Oh my god, China! Seriously. We are so afraid of everything, including our own shadow of what could be, that we put the amount of money into a defense budget that is astronomical instead of taking care of things that you know would have people be happy. Because that's apparently what we have to do. We have to have people want to go fight and die for the country, or fight and come back pretty messed up, instead of sitting there and taking care of them. Well, what do you mean? I mean, let's see, we make people wait for forever to be at the VA. The benefits for that are garbage. You have the retired people on TRICARE and on Medicare. Yes, the thing that Republicans hate, Medicare. Our military members are on it as a secondary medical. Wonderful, huh? Oh, wait, we need to use all the money to create the F-35 that we've had problems with for so long, instead of actually making sure that we can have a good product through testing. It was tested the same way Windows Vista was, that Windows 11 quite possibly is, and Windows 8 was tested. We're going to have the consumer or the people in the field figure out the best way to do it while spending umpteen amounts of money on it and charging exorbitant fees for it. Oh, but the companies have to make profit. Yes, I get that, but if you provide a product that is decently reliable, then you're going to have people actually care about wanting to spend more money because you've proven that it's effective, reliable, and it works. Oh, but then they won't buy the next product. Yes, they will. They will buy the next product that you come out with because they know you're a reliable group, and that's easy. You know why different countries buy military arms from the U.S. more than anything? Because we put out it so prolifically more than anybody else, and we have so much of it that replacement parts are easy to do. Anyway, that's the bit of the rant about the U.S., and it'll probably come back to it. But going back to the different groups who are trying their hardest but are failing at it, and sadly will continue to fail until changes are made. Again, this is all my opinion, so take it as you will. Unless each one of you groups comes together, and yes, do I think the trans community groups, the feminist communities, and perhaps the Black Lives community should combine together to form one group that absolutely annihilates groups like the KKK or any white party talk off Republicans? Yes. Will it happen? Probably not. Because with every group, you have people who want a specific type of thing. Whether it's trans community members being so scared of life in general and being, well, for lack of a better, crucified and killed because, oh my god, people won't want me. That's okay. I understand that. But you're only going to go as far as what your limited access allows you. If you want to be left alone, okay, that's great. I get it. But just remember, you are going to be stuck with whatever rights the rest of the world decides for you. And that's how it's going to be until something happens. Feminist community. You tried really hard for a while. You were going great. Then, of course, once the trans community came into existence, the level of hatred by the TERFs, the trans exclusionary rights feminists, I don't know why. Again, this was coming from a white cis male, so please tell me if I'm wrong on this, and if I have missed something, I will address it. I will admit that I'm wrong, and I will try and correct it. Because you have chosen to basically shoot yourself in the foot, and not push in for federal levels. Not everywhere deals with equal pay. Women, you work as hard as men, if not harder, on a lot of things, and yet you are ostracized, you are hated for no reasons other than the fact that they're jealous. Yes, I'll say it right now. In general, men are jealous of how hard you work. And this is the same thing for anybody who is not white, cis, and male. Every other group, or I should say, white cis males are jealous, absolutely, of how hard all of you work, how much you have been through. We're scared. Because of the simple fact that we have held on to this power for so long through guile, through fear, through manipulation, that we don't want it to go away. Or at least, we being the collective term, because I personally don't care if the white cis male loses power because, well, it's time for a change. But at the same time, I don't want somebody coming up who is, oh, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to make the men's rights more powerful because men are the best, men are the greatest. No, we're not. As stated earlier, we are stupid. We think with our man bits. We would rather sit there and fight it out over something with punching, kicking, and screaming than we would actually to do any of that stuff. Because we don't want to. We're stupid. But, again, that's a personal opinion based upon years and years of having to deal with it. Yes, I'm almost 40. I've seen some stuff. But, yeah. Again, African American community as well. You've been through hell. You deserve something, but don't squander it. Don't absolutely destroy everything you have just because you want to act a certain way to feel I don't know how to put this. Because you want to feel a certain way, or because you feel the white man's always going to hate you. Not all of us do. Only the morons. I get frustrated with everybody across the board. Because it doesn't matter what group you're in. Y'all do some pretty stupid stuff. Can you get better? Yes. Are you trying? In general, yes. You don't always make the right decisions. Heck, neither do I. But it is very wonderful that you actually have a chance to learn from and get better. And take the teachings of those who have come before you, even if they didn't always make the right decisions, and look at the history and go, what can we learn from it? What can we make better? Are the people who are giving us information actually intelligent? Because if they aren't, why the heck are they in charge? Now, when it comes to who's in charge of being intelligent, one of you may not think that, but collectively, if a group of you think that when you're not manipulated by somebody else, remember that. Thinking for yourselves is important. If you don't know or don't understand, ask somebody who you're pretty sure is smarter than you. People who have college degrees may not always be smart, but if it's somebody whose opinion you have learned to trust, who you know is not in it for themselves. There's way too many people who are in it for themselves. That is who you need to listen to. When it comes to political parties, and yes, I'm saying this, full disclosure, I have been a Republican. I am now a Democrat. Though I am one of those Democrats who thinks that there's a lot of problems with the Democratic Party. There is umpteen amounts of problems. The Democrats are too smart sometimes for their own good. And what I mean by that is when you talk to people who may or may not be as smart as yourself, do not talk down to them. Everybody, no matter their level of intelligence or knowledge, is still equal to you and still has just as much of a right to speak their mind as you do, in a way that is more of a debate factor, or a debate style. You do not need to scream at each other like on Fox News. This is not who can yell the loudest over somebody else. This is, okay, I make a point, you make a point, counterpoint, counterpoint. Yes, things will get heated. Yes, people will get angry if they feel that they're being attacked personally. But that is not going to be solved by having a violent altercation. All it serves to do is to make you look foolish. And until we make sure that people talk passionate but intelligently, we are not going to solve anything. We're going to slip farther and farther into levels of fear, of doubt, and our country is going to turn into, well, Florida. Yes. We could go into becoming Florida, where everybody is afraid of something that has never been proven. Yes, the bathroom bills are, we're afraid of the trans community doing things in the bathroom. I have searched, and I cannot find anything about the trans community doing anything in the bathroom. I have not found anything about the trans community is winning sports because they're trans. Doctors in general have said, yeah, guys, no, it doesn't work that way. And yet people still persist. People also do the same thing of blowing it so much to the level of out of proportion that children in schools are self-identifying as cats. Look it up. That was a thing that people were saying. It's, again, one of the dumbest things that I've heard, and anybody who believes it is a moron. It is not. It is also for those of you who are Christians, or Muslims, or Jews. Not in any single one of your books has it said that the trans community should be hated. Now, I am talking about the original. I am talking about the Talmud, the Quran, and I'm going to be very specific about it. The original Douay Rheims Bible. Yes, people, I studied in Catholic school. I understand what actually was written there because I was taught by a Jesuit in my religion class. He valued knowledge over religion. And people will sit there and go, well, how should you know? Again, because I understand this. I get it. That there's things to be afraid of in this world that you don't understand. I get their conspiracies. But at the same time, the trans community is not a conspiracy, not something to be absolutely terrified of. In general, they want their rights and they want to be left alone. Just like women want their rights and want to just live a happy life and to, in some cases, be left alone. Just like the African American community wants their rights and, in general, wants to be left alone unless they choose to interact. Again, that goes back to the whole consent thing. Do they want this? Have you even asked? Have you even cared to take their opinion into effect? The answer is probably not. You assume. Because, we must assume because we know better, especially as white cis men. You don't. Yes, that is a cat. I have one. Deal with it. Moving on. But until you actually ask someone and accept and get them to talk to you, because you're talking to them as another person, then you have no right to sit there and dictate their lives for them if you are not a member of it. And that gets onto the subject, I know I'm bouncing around, to abortion. Men, you do not have a right to dictate a woman's body. The fact of you don't even understand it. Since one of you said if we put a camera down the woman's throat and look in her stomach, we can see the baby. Those two parts aren't even connected. You have a better chance of looking up her butt that way. Seriously. Because that's connected. Oh, does she pee or something out of her vagina? Again, not connected. Look up women's anatomy. Discuss women's anatomy with an OBGYN. You know, the people who were supposed to know, which comes back to school. Yes. Doctors are going to be poor for the very beginning of their lives unless they make it big. And until then, they will have lots of funding they have to do. But hey, it's fine. They can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. It's fine. It's fine. No. Assistance is always a good thing, but we shouldn't need assistance if we're doing things correctly. Which basically comes back again to making sure people have rights to get equal pay, to get enough pay. Negotiations through unions. Yes, I didn't cover unions that much, but unions are there for negotiating power so people know that they have rights. Yes, most of you don't even know the rights that you actually have. Seriously, research it. Eventually, I'll get up to putting links about all this stuff. But again, if none of you really care and none of you want to know, then you're not going to care either way. And then I should ask, why should I bother? I should bother because it's there for you. There are quite a few people who do this kind of stuff. There's shows like Adam Ruins Everything. Last week tonight with John Oliver, yes. I'm stating 2 shows that I watch because of the information it gives. The Daily Show tries to cover some of this stuff. The news channels, while I would mostly support them, the problem is there is such a thing as information overload. So, for those of you who watch CNN, MSNBC, I'm not going to dignify suggesting Fox, because most of their information is bad, and they manipulate, but that's beside the point. A couple of the shows, if you're willing to watch a couple, like Rachel Maddow, who is one of the ones who I respect, and some of the others, I can't think of their names, because off the top of my head, they don't really factor in that much. I know there's people who would discuss about this on YouTube, like I'm doing it, on Facebook, and I know that many people say, well, that's not a good place to get information. Use their information as a base, and then do your own research, but make sure you research from both sides. Always, always, always check the sources. Because there are way too many people who just sit there and fly off the handle and go, yes, I know these things because I've done such and such amount of research. Again, these are my opinions. I'm not going to say that I am a good level of something to get absolute information. All I can tell you is what I personally believe and what questions I can answer with what limited knowledge I have. Because yes, I will admit, I have limited knowledge and opinions. I get things from people who I consider smarter than me, take it with a grain of salt, and pass it on. That's all I can do, is teach what I have available to people who are willing to listen. I can give these rants on a regular basis if people like it. I can talk about things, and more than likely this will become probably a weekly thing on Saturday night, maybe Friday night. I might even push it back to Sunday, but I will try. I will also try and do things from the vehicle with one of my cohorts, Vixen, Brooke. You've probably seen us do a couple things that we used to call Dear Sis People. It's kind of where this is coming from, is that people need to know knowledge. But I will see you all later. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I will try and answer them when I can. I usually have a lot of work to do. I have school to do. I have a bunch of stuff. If I don't happen to answer immediately, I do apologize. I will get to you as soon as I can. If you want to direct message me, fine. That's great. That's cool. For those of you flamers, because I know that these are going to exist. I know that there's going to be hate spouting from these people. That congratulations to all of you. That is great. That is wonderful that you feel so passionately. But again, prove your point to me. And if I am entirely wrong on my assessment, I will admit that I am wrong, give you props for your point, and then we can start a discussion. But I will not tolerate just straight flaming of stuff that is meant to be an insult for the sake of being an insult. I've already seen enough of that in my lifetime, and I don't have time for it. I don't have time for the trolling or jokes that you think are funny. I will kick you. I will ban you from the channel. I will do all of that because I am supposed to be trying to provide some level of service and intelligent conversation. And I don't have time for childish 5 to 10-year-old comments that are usually done by what I would consider somebody of lesser intelligence or who just wants to be a jerk. That being said, again, if you want to have an intelligent conversation, even if you're from the other side and you have a complete different opinion on something, prove your point, state why you have said thing, and we'll have a lively discussion. If we get passionate about it and need to step back, that is perfectly fine. I understand that people get heated about certain subjects when certain buttons are pressed. I understand that there's trigger points. That's nothing to be ashamed of. But I will sit there and try and have a conversation with you, person to person, adult to adult. That being said, I've been doing this for almost an hour. Much as I would like to continue ranting on, things need to get taken care of. I have a life, so I will see you all later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the week. Enjoy your weekend. Just think about things of how can you help others and how can you help further yourself. Anyway, see y'all later.